Hey guys, Steve here. Today we got to look at the legendary tier German battleship Grosser Kurfürst, or as my German viewers frequently remind me, they call it the Grober in Germany. So if you want to be accurate, we call it the Grober. Here we got a game on Tears of the Desert domination mode game. This will be the first look of the Grober, or at the Grober on our channel, at least off of a stream. You know, we've covered it on streams a couple times. But this ship, initially, well, it ended up being the last of the first three legendary tier ships that I pursued. My thinking was German battleships, World of Warships Legends don't always get along together. So I figured this one might be a bit of a dud. But then, as the Bureau progress was going on, some of you guys started to get the ship. Some of you guys said, wow, it's a really good ship. Guns surprisingly accurate. That got my attention because I figured, what good's a battleship if it can't hit anything? But you guys were telling me this one's accurate. Then more people got it. Some of them hated it. Some of them loved it. So kind of a polarizing ship in terms of how people think about it. Those who have unlocked it. Similar to the Alaska. Some people really like that one. Some people don't. I'd say the Alaska's tough, but it can be pretty good once you figure out how to play it. Yamato. Pretty much everyone likes that who's gotten it. I haven't heard anyone really complain about that. That's a beast. It is what it is. You know, it's the most famous battleship in the game. So, lives up to the reputation. Grosser, though, the Grober. Whether you like it or not, you're just going to have to find out. Now, what do we got with this thing? 100,000 HP. You can see with my hide build, pushes it. Well, it's probably shy of, you know, it's probably like 98, give or take. But I got hide, who enhances the HP of your ship. This here, you know, starts off with a lot of HP. We bump it up over 100,000 with this build. So very tanky in terms of that. Torpedo reduction 25, so not bad, but compared to the Yamato 55, pretty weak for legendary tiers. I got the 420s on this. The other option I think is 406, the caliber of the guns. I was looking at the overmatch chart that they have for the PC game. They didn't list the 420, so I don't think switching between the guns is going to provide more of an overmatch on any of the armors that exist in the game. I think it's just probably more reliable in terms of penetration, more damage, probably a little bit less accurate. I don't know. I've played roughly 15, 20 games in this thing so far. I'd say about 2/3 of them have been with the 420 calibers, and you know, maybe quarter to a third with the lower caliber, whatever the number is. I just like the feel for these. Sometimes the lower caliber shells will hit the target and you kind of raise your eyebrow like, that's all you got for me? Come on, you know. But these ones, second highest caliber of gun currently in the game, they hit pretty hard. And as we're going to see against these broadside Yamatos, if you get opportunities to unload on people, these things can definitely provide a little pop. Now max damage, citadel damage with the AP, only 13,500. So I mean, there's tier 7 battleships that hit harder than that, but you know, it's still pretty solid. Now the fire chance, some of you guys are going to see 41%. You're going to go get all googly-eyed and start loading only HE in this. I hope to God you're on the red team and not the blue team, because it's a little ridiculous. Anyway, mobility-wise, this thing is interesting. 30 knots when you get it rolling. It takes a little while to get rolling. I have the damage con mod in slot 2 on this one currently. Maybe the prop mod would help this if you're going to start and stop with it. In general, you're going to want to keep it moving. Maybe you're going to have to stop once in a while, but whenever you get stopped, fully stopped, especially if you need to get going quickly, you can't do that. So try and stay moving, even if it's only quarter or half speed. If you're kind of in a kiting position like we are now, you can see what we're doing here. We got quarter speed. That keeps us moving just in case we need to be moving, but you know, we're not parked dead in the water. Turn radius though, 1,050. So for comparison's sake, Iowa 920. So this thing is basically about the size of Lower Manhattan, and it takes just about as long to turn around. So that mobility-wise, kind of not the greatest. Speed-wise, surprisingly fast when you get it rolling. But if you're turning, trying to dodge, you know, rudder shift 20.4. Again, we don't have steering gears mod on here, we could boost that, but it's still a very long, ponderous rudder shift. Sea detectability, 16 kilometers, don't even think about it. As far as I can tell, you're the most visible ship in the game at the moment, and even John Bart's parked on the moon will spot you, and they won't even have to use their Hubble telescope. They'll just be able to look at you with the naked eye. So don't be trying to be incorporating any stealth tactics in your game. That's not what we're doing here. We're just here to kind of duke it out. Now this ship currently, whenever the enemy sees it, every single person on the enemy team seems to shoot at it most games. Part of it's people love to shoot at anyone named Bugard's Fist, apparently. Part of it's legendary tier. Part of it's a big, tanky, 100 HP pinata worth of damage that they all think they can get by shooting at you. So there's a lot of reasons. You know, it's a slow target. It's huge. It's very hard to miss this thing, so even Johnny Potato out there can occasionally hit this thing. There's many, many reasons why people would shoot, you know, me in particular or you if you get in the ship. It's an enticing target. So even though you got a lot of HP, even though the armor schemes seem pretty dang good, if you're getting shot in the sides, which is fairly easy to do when you have very, very slow, ponderous turning like we have here, you're going to take some damage. Here, this is actually a game from, we were loading in on members-only stream, so about half the people in this game are familiar to us on the channel here. And so I'm hesitating to yell at people playing this game, but I want them, these cruisers, you know, go balls to the walls in this Udachi. This Udachi is spotting all the cruisers over here, and there's like 3 or 4 guys that could be intercepting this destroyer. That would remove the spotting on them as well, but we're also kind of sacrificing a huge source of HP, team HP, by letting these giant 100k battleships get torped left and right. So I wish that the cruisers would be a little bit more aggressive, especially if this Udachi for some reason thinks he can stop in that smoke. I assume we popped it and kept running, but heaven forbid he stops in that smoke. That Megami should be 3/4 of the way up his tailpipe at this point in time, blowing him up, sonar engaged, you know, get rid of him. So a little bit of a criticism for my team there. We're winning huge on ship count. Granted, we're down on caps. You don't want to get too lackadaisical, but, you know, Udachi, clearly all he wants to do is torp battleships, and I'm about the easiest battleship at this tier to hit. So it's a little annoying going against the destroyers. I think people that really hate the Grober are trying to get hyper active with their brawling. This thing plays more mid-range to mid-long range, in my opinion. I wouldn't be a long-range sniper necessarily in this thing. I haven't gotten in a lot of brawling situations, but the mobility is not there. You know, it's not set up like a traditional brawler. Good brawlers, close-range brawlers, are ships that are really able to move very well. Yes, we have the armor scheme that this thing has, seems at least to favor close-range combat. But the turret traverse, you know, we got a 40-second turret traverse here. I should probably switch over that Nelson on the second inspiration over to Kedrov, try and boost that up. But it's still going to be a fairly slow turret traverse. Good brawlers typically have really good turret traverse. Turpits, we got 30.8, 26.8 on the Odin. Maybe I got to recheck my mods or something. You know, this is an early impressions video on this. We're still getting the hang of the ship, but at least how I have it set up right now and how I've been playing it doesn't really seem to favor getting close range. And getting close to those destroyers like that, they're not going to have a hard time torping you at all. So maybe back the thing up a little bit. Maybe the people that are hardcore German battleship purists that want to get close, up close and personal, that's maybe why they don't like this ship as much. For me, my playstyle that I like for battleships, I don't mind a good brawler, don't get me wrong, but I certainly like battleships that play at different ranges as well. And this one seems to do, like I said, medium-long, kind of middle-long range. You know, that type of distance. Last thing I want to touch on stats-wise in this early impressions video. Sonar, torpedo range, 4 kilometers. Surface ships, detection range 6 kilometers. So very good reach on this sonar. Some of the better sonar you're going to see. Duration's only a minute long, which is shorter than some of the other German units that we have installed in the game. But again, the reach is there, so be sure you're deploying that whenever you think the destroyers are in the vicinity. Not only can it help with the torpedoes, but you might actually catch them within that 6 kilometers, because they're probably not going to be expecting that long-range sonar, at least not, until people become much more familiar with legendary tier as time goes on. Anyways, we'll trim that one up here. I think we maybe land 1 or 2 more salvos, but you guys get the hang of the ship. Basically, the guns, if you get the shots off properly, they're going to hit hard. They're pretty accurate. The durability is there, but, just don't get yourself into situations where you're going to get massively focused or you're going to get kind of wrecked. But we'll cover the Grober more, no doubt. That was just going to be an early look for you guys that were looking forward to some coverage of that ship. Anyway, that's going to do it for that one, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you. And we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.